Today is Saturday, March 7th, 2026. For me, another day of learning and growing. Hope that you, your family, friends, loved ones, and all are staying safe. So, not feeling entirely too well today, but I'm not feeling terrible, if that makes any sense. So, the normal amount of sickness, let's put it that way. It's been a pretty busy week. I hadn't even had a chance to come up with a video topic or title this morning, so this is just off the dome, off the rip, as kids say. And just wanted to sit down and talk and kind of catch up on things that have been happening. So, if you've been watching my journey, June 2020 is when I identified $115,041.87, I believe. I don't know what that number is, to be honest, anymore. $115,041.87. That sounds right. Of non-consumer debt. I apologize, I don't have the number in front of me. My computers are off. And I decided to tackle that debt and pay it off. So that was the original intent of my journey. And it led to something more. It led to a journey of learning how to budget. And that was the component that I was missing, because I had this misconception that for years I had been budgeting, but what I was doing was expense tracking, as opposed to assigning money prior to spending it and living within my means and cutting out credit cards and cutting out retail credit cards and paying off credit cards, taking out personal loans in some situations to consolidate debt, side hustles, doing surveys, whatever it took to pay off this debt. So I made a lot of progress and paid off over $70-something thousand worth of non-mortgage debt. And at the end of last year, I moved to a different state, job relocation position, change. And so I made the move. I was fortunate in that November, December, my rent was free, but I was still paying a mortgage, and I am still paying a mortgage. So in January, I paid both the mortgage and rent. February and March, same thing. Now I can't begin to tell you how tight my budget is right now, but I will tell you it's really tight. And that's okay, because I know what the goal is. I took out a $6,000 loan to be able to cover HVAC, some repairs to the home, some painting and things like that. I ended up buying a new stove and a few other things to the place. And put the home on the market November 21st. And now I am 10 days away from having it sold. And I'm excited, a little nervous, but mostly just eager to not have to pay that mortgage and HOA and gas and electricity and stuff like that I'm paying currently, because it is a lot, and I'm not rich, as you can tell by my attire. Or you can't tell if somebody's rich by their attire. That was stupid on my part to say. So what's next? I'm not sure how long it's going to take for them to wire the funds after we sign the paperwork. Maybe that's something that happens prior to signing. I have no idea, because I just remember that when I bought my home, I had to have all the money paid, all the different fees and everything, down payment. So I had to pay that prior to signing all the rest of my documents and going to the law office. And they gave me the option of signing remotely, but it was like $195, and I was like, nah, I live less than a tank of gas away from where I was. So, excuse me, indigestion. So I am going to drive there and sign on the dotted lines, and that'll be that, and then I can move on. So essentially, I don't know exactly how much I'm going to get after my realtor, the closing agent, all that stuff. gets their cut. But everything appears that it's going to be enough to be able to pay off the rest of my debt, which right now is a personal loan and my student loans. And I've had my student loans since late 90s. Well, very close to the end of the 90s. And that sucks. And to be honest, I thought I was going to have it for the rest of my life. Didn't have a plan. Was in a lot of fear. Wasn't making enough money. And it just seemed like an insurmountable amount. And plus, the interest on that thing accrues daily. So, even after putting an additional payment on top of the minimum payment, I will still accrue about, I want to say $70 worth of interest each month, just trying to keep up with the amount of interest that accrued. And so, it's a never-ending loan. It's a scam, the way they have it set up, because they need to give people the opportunity to be able to pay that thing off in a reasonable amount of time. I'm not going to go off on that right now. I talked about that in the previous video, but that's just how I feel. But yeah, so if be able to pay that off, and it also allowed me to have if not a full emergency fund, which covers 6 months of all my expenses, including food, medications, all that. It should be enough to have that. What's left over from that, I don't know. I really don't care because I'll be in a position in my adult life that I've never been in without debt. And I don't know how that feels until I'm in it. The last time I didn't have any debt, I was 18 years old, and this was before I got my first credit card. Immediately after that, the debt cycle started, and the first thing I remember is I maxed out a $2,000 Discover card my freshman year of school. I went to Toronto, Canada for a trip with a group at my school. I think I bought a cell phone, which was like one of, when cell phones started to pop off and become, more reasonably priced, even though at the time they still had roaming charges. And because of roaming charges, I had a $600 phone bill that I couldn't afford. So I ended up basically losing the phone. I think I called my parents, asked for help, and I'm not sure if they gave me the money then or just I let it go into collections. I'm thinking that I let it go into collections because I did have quite a few things at that time go into collections, and that's, I was very fearful. I didn't check my credit score again probably until I was in my late 20s, and when I got into my 30s is when I started to work in corporate and started to get some traction. But it wasn't until June of 2020 that I had identified that I had that significant amount of non-mortgage debt. I decided to really aggressively tackle it. Also, if you remember, we were on lockdown for COVID in the United States, at least. Not every place locked down the way we did, but most places did. And so, I was talking to my sister about this whole journey. So really, I would say even started back when 2019, when I was diagnosed with lupus, and I was trying to figure out, how to take my medications regularly, what side effects could be caused by medications, visiting with primary care physician, rheumatologist, neurologist, I can't think of the name of the doctor. I was about to say cardiologist, but maybe I met with them, a nephrologist. Every sort of doctor you could think of, I've met. And it was very fearful. And so going through that, I said, well, there's not much else for me to fear. And I had a big fear of needles. Needles don't bother me at all now. But where was I headed with that? Yeah, so I decided to just face my fears, and debt was one of my biggest fears. And it's no longer my biggest fear. That might be the title of my video. Debt was one of my biggest fears. That's pretty good. But it's no longer the case. So, if all things work out in 10 days or so, a little bit longer because, I'm going to put the money in my account and budget it out, because that's what I do. I budget the money before I spend a dime so that I can see exactly how much I'm going to put towards the debt. Now, here's the thing. So how I pay off the debt might be different than even how I'm thinking, because, right now I'm just thinking like I'll wire the money to pay off the student loans. But what if I decide to I don't know. I got to think about it. So I'm not going to even venture off into that train of thought, because that's something I have to think about, and something I have to write out, something I have to put on my spreadsheet and figure out what I'm going to do. I just know that it's going to be a very different way of living for me. I just celebrated 15 years with my company. I'm in a management position. I'm definitely making more money, and that's fine. But that's never been my focus in life. I would say, probably in my later 30s is when I said, I got to start thinking about retirement. So what is that going to look like? Especially if I'm not married, I have no kids, and this is going to be me take care of myself now. Unless things change where I adopt children and get married. Married where the young lady already has kids. The young lady has children of her own. Maybe that'll happen if I'm open to that type of open to a relationship, really. Then that would happen. So who knows? All right. So why am I talking about any of this? This video is just way too long, and I've got a lot to do today. I'm going to go meet with the CPA, figure out my taxes, because I'm probably going to owe this year. I've got to go pick up a sandwich platter for an event we're having in our office. I've got to clean up around here, get organized, do my laundry. So it's going to be a busy day. It is almost 8 o'clock, 7:43 right now, and I want to go ahead and get started and do what I need to do. And imagine you want to do what you want to do instead of listen to me ramble. Okay, so if you made it this far, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. You know when I post my videos. You can find me at youtube.com/@notinmybudget. As always, thank you for watching. Hope you all take care.